Okay, now though, here's something that I've never talked about before, but maybe I should have before, but I was never given to talk about it before. But when I was doing energy transfer resets, which was a Beverley Nation program, that was 6 years ago, and I did everybody in the planet for free. Just so you know, everybody's been done. So you don't have to get one done. I did everybody. Did you have to consent for it? I did you regardless. Everyone's been done. But the person who did me, Helm, um, he's very advanced, way beyond me. But the thing is that nobody can understand Wilhelm. At least I can't, and I'm very advanced. But he's very, 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 very advanced. The difference between me and him is that I came in before 1987, and he came in, I think, after 1987, and everything changed, and higher consciousness beings came in without so much memory wipe. And I had 100% memory wipe, and I have no idea if I'm a star seed or if my previous lifetime I was a bird, or if this is my first lifetime as anything ever. I have no idea. No idea, and I was never able to get any good muscle tests on things because I've been hijacked even longer than I ever imagined. All the same. Anyways, Wilhelm told us that because sometime later we had a falling out with Beverley Nation, and he said that Beverley Nation had a reptilian walk-in, but he said he didn't worry about it because he had his own Beverley Nation, and we kind of got an inkling of that, but it was other things happened, and we must come back to this again to revisit it 6 years later, and we're starting to get the idea that maybe that's what happens. Because if Wilhelm's got his own copy of Beverley Nation, then he doesn't need the physical version because he's got a version with him that maybe talks to him in his head. Nobody's ever told me that they've heard me in their head except for Diane. But she didn't say it was me, Bob. She said it was Colonel Serene who talked to her in her head. And Colonel Serene is a character that I, Bob, played in a movie for Vancouver Film School called Iraq a million years ago. A Luke Johnson film starring I'm being fucked with now. Why did I get to tell you about it and then I'm being blocked by it? I don't understand how many different people are in the business of trying to run words through Bob. Because some people are running words through Bob and some people are torturing Bob, and the people that are running words through Bob say that they can't stop the other machines. They said they never found a machine that blocks the kind of machines that they have either. Well, that doesn't make sense to all of us. And anyways, Mary Baker Eddy is going to tell you that we're just going to spiritualize all the machines and just cancel them out on both sides. Because everything is being done in consciousness, but it does seem that some people have got stronger consciousness than others in order to overpower my talking here. And the answer from the advanced being is because all the other beings together are working against you, Bob. Because it is an enormous amount of people that are trying to kill you, just to see if they can. Because it's a very low vibe tribe, the people on planet Earth. And that's what they quite often like to do. Consciously, no, they don't consciously know what they're doing. unconsciously they just always hate everybody, and all the hate together sometimes creates a massive wave that takes people out unexpectedly. Well, anybody that watches my channel knows that I'm always under psychic attack. I'm not worried because I'm totally one with the Great Spirit, all that is. So if you're going to try and take me out, then you got to take out all that is, and all that is like you're a little fragment of that. Anyways, so if Colonel Serene is talking to Diane, I'll have to check in to see if he's still talking. Because quite often, I do hear other people's voices coming through me as sometimes my voice. It's most strange. And I have had strange things where David at karaoke would be sitting over there, or he'd be sitting over there having a cigarette, and but I'd have another version of David, in my head, because energetically what David sounds like. It's something you get to know within yourself of somebody's energetic signature. So when you pick up the phone and you hear the voice, you automatically know it's Auntie Liz, because you just know as soon as she says her first word, you just know from her voice. So I think we're getting more than voice. Maybe we've always getting telepathy of the people when we're on the phone with them. We must be getting more than just what we're getting over the phone. I think we're way more psychic than we are given to know. Or maybe it's just because no, I don't know. Dolores Cannon's books are called The Convoluted Universe, and I think those are the best titled books on the planet of any book ever published. Dolores Cannon's title, The Convoluted Universe. It is more convoluted and more perplexing. It's just that all the standard models of the universe are becoming less and less relevant. Because I showed you on my channel tonight, my DV set has been strobe lighting, and I've seen street light strobe light, and building light strobe light, and my bedside light strobe light. And the other night, a nice big moon, and there was a plain contrail underneath it, and it was very pretty. And I turned away for 2 seconds, no more than 2 seconds, and I turned back, and the contrail that had been underneath the moon had moved up to be right at where the moon was in 2 seconds. It was impossible. And then I turned away again, and next thing you know, the contrail moved again. And then I looked away for a short time, and I looked back. I don't know, there's so many weird things going on, impossible things, supernatural events. I don't think it's just me. I mean, I've told the story many times that when I was working in the movies as a movie extra, the first job that I had was on the TV show Supernatural. And the license plates in British Columbia, Vancouver, British Columbia, Hollywood North, they say Supernatural, British Columbia. It is. So anyways, if you do hear my voice in your head, don't freak out, because we are actually supposed to have telepathy coming online more than we had just when you're on the phone, and you can get people's kind of feelings kind of come through. But it's actually real, And so don't go crazy. Don't think you're going psychotic. No, you're supposed to get this spiritual gift of telepathy. It's called the noosphere, N-O-O sphere, and that was Teilhard de Chardin who coined the term. You can look him up on Wikipedia, and you can look up Aaron Abke on YouTube, A-B-K-E, and look up the social memory complex under Law of One. So it's all there in video where people are already explaining it. So if you're thinking that I'm nuts and hearing voices, I do hear voices, and we're supposed to. So if you're not, then I'm going to ask you, why is it when Teilhard de Chardin was a Jesuit priest? So if the Catholic Church recognizes that telepathy is real, don't tell me I'm psychotic. If you're not hearing voices, then there's something wrong with you. And if you are hearing voices and thinking there's something wrong with you, and then psychologically projecting your fear onto me, then you're a mean-spirited, stupid ignoramus, aren't you? Because you probably never took University Psychology 101, and even when the textbook was lying around from somebody else's years at the university, you never bothered to pick it up, even though I did mention it, that thing should be picked up and read. There's all kinds of books that I bought that are unread. Years and years go by and unread and stupid, the same stupid binge watching of stupid, moronic Netflix garbage over and over again. Eat, sleep, and drink TV. Instead of reading, there's even a Shakespeare book up there of Ghana's. I know it's kind of too big to read. But, but you can, get more quality stuff. I don't know. I set you up on that stupid Netflix. But, the things that you should watch on there, like V for Vendetta, and Star Trek, the original series, and Star Trek The Next Generation, and Star Trek Voyager, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I never did find out what happened with Picard. Didn't like the Picard, because they'd made Picard old and feeble and stupid. Does every old person get old and feeble and stupid? No. Leonard Bernstein, the great conductor of the symphony, didn't. I think he was still conducting when he was 99. And George Burns was still making movies when he was 99, and he was really funny. You could watch him in Oh God with Charlie Schlatter. Do I have a copy of Beverley Nation in me? Yes, I can sort of feel it, but I always thought that was like the real person. But when David was, I had an iteration of him, that's a computer term for multiple copies of the same program running. There was David over there in the physical body, and then there was David, another iteration in my head. But the David in my head, I asked him, and it seemed like it was David, but he had no access to his memories as David. But it didn't sound, I don't know, I'll have to ask Diana about when Colonel Serene was talking to her. Quite often I'm given to say out loud what other people are telling me. It's beyond perplexing. Well, I just have to keep canceling out all the technology and all the different ways that you can mentally astral project or go within somehow into inner worlds or whatever, and you say exactly what's going on from the book learning. Osho told us the mind is frolicking in front of all of our silent witnesses. we got a wet blanket thrown on this one because quite often we got to remind you that this is actually a Rumpelstiltskin production. Everything is a Rumpelstiltskin production, an epic production. And Rumpelstiltskin quite often likes to tell people, how much he enjoys life when it's more and more Twilight Zone. He calls these ones that are just impossibly difficult to understand and a little bit hinky. This one's not creepy. In the old days when I was telling you about Brent Beast and the Devil and some of the horrors that he put me through. But this one is just hinky. But it's explainable by what I've given you. And if it's the Jesuit, then, it's white man settled science, let's say. Rumpelstiltskin's other tags for these kind of stories are stories for boys and girls, stories for girls and boys, Rumpelstiltskin stories, ghost stories, campfire stories. And you can go look for those tags and see other ones, and they're not going to be nearly as lighthearted as this one, because some of the stories that you say are just campfire stories actually are real and really happened. And the problems that start to mount and mount and mount up when I take away the technology aspect of how I'm tortured by remote control become more and more scary for some people. Because it takes separation away from you and I, and Brent Beast and the Devil, and Mr. Thank You, Thank You, Thank You, Thank You, Thank You, Thank You, and Mr. Galoshes, who makes wet portals to places where there's an undertow and you're going to have a drowning pool. There's Jimmy Steele. Well, this is not quite a Jimmy Steele. I met recently, but door handles, metal door handles, or Jimmy Steele. Normally that part is the nose. Anyways, this one doesn't look like the other one that really is the original Jimmy Steele. Well, it's from They Live with Rowdy Roddy Piper. Those things are Jimmy Steele. Androids, perhaps not. It's just that this is the most difficult book of all. It's strange. You never would have thought it, because it's about old-time religion. Mary Baker Eddy's book is now becoming the creepiest book I know. And Brent Beeson and I agree. We're going to buy 2 books for our next bookshelf. Edgar Allan Poe, Greatest Hits, and Mary Baker Eddy, Science and Health, with Key to the Scriptures. Now, people know Edgar Allan Poe and the Raven, and he's very scary. But Mrs. Eddy's book, well, it's just that Brent Beeson and I not really fully familiar with it. We listened to some audio of it, and I referred to it a long time ago. It's just that for all of us people who are so techy, and we really are used to our world being technologically run, and the earth is very solid under the ground. Mrs. Eddy spiritualizes everything. So nothing, not even electrons and protons, are those things. Jacob being an expert at things that be, said that everything is a being. Which would mean that electrons and protons are alive and spiritual. It also means that our physical senses that we know are prone to optical illusions and things may also be giving illusions that we are much further away from those people that we think are in Australia, for example, because maybe they aren't. Because everything is in consciousness, and it's very hard for us 3D muggles to really understand what's possible within consciousness, because we're so used to the 3D world where we got to get in a plane to fly from Canada to Australia. But a long time ago, when the internet was first new, there was a video. An old film movie was made, maybe in 1930, in Tibet. And it was a Tibetan monk, and the Tibetan monk teleported from one mountain plateau to the next, and the cameraman showed you. And everyone's going to say, well, trick photography or whatever. It was very old film, black and white, and, ancient. And yes, everything can be fake nowadays, but it does get it across the idea that that could be legitimate film. And for a long time, I couldn't find the video again. I wanted to find it because I wanted to show everybody, and I couldn't find it. I think it was taken down. But then again, another time I found it. What exactly do they mean by the word singularity? A place where everybody is at the same place, at the singularity. And Ray Kurzweil, the great scientist and technologist, Kurzweil synthesizers, the great futurist, many years ago wrote a book, many decades ago, more than 10 years ago. And he said in that book, the title was, "The Singularity is Near." In other words, we weren't in a singularity before, but we're about to get in one. But there's other people that have given us the idea that we always are a singularity, and we're just having an illusion that we're living separate from one another. And in the illusion, quite often, we're horrible to one another. But if we're in a singularity, then why are we fighting ourselves? But we do. And then what happens? There's more questions that this... Why isn't Mary Baker Eddy? Because without the Mary Baker Eddy book, then you still kind of think, okay, well, I'm in a physical body, and ghosts are spirits. And maybe I am a spirit, but at least I'm, incarnated in a body, and they're like going through walls and things. But quantum physics says that you're not in a physical body. It's just reported to your brain through your physical senses that you're in a physical body. And there's stories that, besides being able to teleport, that those Tibetan monks can, put their hand into a stone wall and push, and then they can put an imprint into the wall. And the devils that bedevil me may not need to keep using all the technology they use to torture me. Because there's the famous episode of Star Trek The Next Generation with Kaczynski and the Traveler in it. That's a very important lesson. I won't give you the whole story. Anyways, if we can find it, I'll put it below, and if not, you just go and Google that one. Kaczynski and the Traveler, Star Trek The Next Generation. Because it really shows you, once you get beyond advanced engineering, perhaps you don't need engineering anymore. The Traveler would be considered an advanced yogi, like maybe Shiva. Oh, which brings up another supposed to be advanced yogi, Babaji. And we're more and more curious about Babaji because we're trying to figure it out. Because if Babaji is able to be, is he attacked by demons? Because I am. It's just that the people that say they're using a technology called remote neural monitoring to attack me and to beam voice to skull their minds into mine. I think we're getting into the Highlander game now, folks, because I don't use technologies at all. And the people that do are losing their ability to do the things that they were doing to me before, as if they're getting weaker and or I'm getting stronger. And in the end, I'm aligned with what's best for everybody. I'm not here to be the Highlander and rule over you. No. And we learned this in the Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, because that was the same problem that the vampires had. It came to a head in the book Lestat and Atlantis, a more recent Vampire Chronicle book by Anne Rice. And because they'd had a number of problems with all of the power being concentrated in certain people. But in the end, what they did is they just distributed all the stuff that made them special to everybody. They all had it, their own version of it. So then I wonder how many different versions of me are out there, if there's people saying that, you know, like Diane said, that Colonel Serene, which is... Well, I'm not Colonel Serene. I played Colonel Serene. I had to learn Colonel Serene's lines, but Luke Johnson wrote the script, and he gave the Colonel his name. So did the Colonel exist before Luke Johnson used the name Colonel Serene? Dolores Cannon's books are quite thick. I'd just like to take the title, The Convoluted Universe. The Twilight Zone. I'm Harry Weaver, your narrator. I haven't been here for quite some time, but I think we're going to be around some more.